everyone, this is my second try at this video because apparently there was no audio last time. So thanks to viewer number 5 or 6 that finally told me. Anyway, that's the problem with just automatic uploading and not checking your video first. Anyway, so this is my recent and current reads for the month of August. It's not everything that I read in the month of August, but it is some of the highlights. So, one of the first books that I read in the month was 1984 by George Orwell. I read this with Derby from Derby Lane Reading. And I really enjoyed the buddy read. I don't think I would have gotten through it if it hadn't been a buddy read. Not that it was not enjoyable or bad, but it was just really good to have someone to chat with about it. I'm going to assume that most people know the basic plot of 1984. So I'm just going to say that I did really enjoy it. I marked it up a whole lot. There were some parts that were harder to get through and harder to understand, but for the most part, I thought it was an intriguing read, and I was curious what was going to happen. I enjoyed the characters. I can see going back to this in the future and reading my notes again. I don't know if I'd read through the whole thing again, but it's definitely a book I'm going to hold on to. Next, I read Ghost Boy by Martin Pistorius. This is a memoir detailing Martin's experiences as a quadriplegic young person without the ability to communicate. He went from a perfectly healthy boy at 12 years old to, by 13, not being able to move or take care of himself or speak or communicate in any way. And several years later, he suddenly began to become aware of his surroundings again. And it's just a really interesting look at the life of a disabled person who's trying to find a way to communicate and let people know that he is aware of his surroundings, what it's like to just have everyone make all of your decisions for you, and to just kind of ignore you, I guess, while they're supposed to be caring for you. It is upsetting at times because of the treatment and abuse that he talks about in some sections. But I think this is a very important read. I think that if you're at all interested in ableism and learning about what life is like for someone experiencing this type of situation, it's really eye-opening, and I highly recommend it. And then I read this simultaneously, The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This follows Cora and her attempt at escaping slavery. As I'm sure you probably already know, the Underground Railroad in this book is an actual physical underground railroad. It is not the main part of the book, but it's an important part, I would say, and I believe that Colson Whitehead uses it as a very interesting literary device to show us that Black Americans during slavery did build many parts of this country, including the Underground Railroad. And in this book, he's showing that in a physical way. Again, I highly recommend this. I enjoyed it. It did take me about, I'd say about 100 pages to really feel invested in the characters, and so it was a bit of a slow start for me, but I thought it was worth it. It's very sad at times, and I really appreciated the way that he went about gaining the reader's emotional response to the treatment of the slaves. You may have heard that there are parts of this book that are difficult to read because of the treatment of the slaves, and I just want to say it wasn't really like bloody, or it wasn't like extremely detailed. For me personally, I believe that what made it feel very difficult to read and emotional was almost the non-emotion of the way that he described. It was just very matter-of-fact explanations, and for me, that's what caught my attention and made me feel emotional about the treatment of the characters. Yeah, if you've read this, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I didn't really have the opportunity to discuss it a whole lot as I was reading it, so I'd love to discuss it with anyone who has read it. This is a still currently reading. I am purposely reading it very slowly. This is Hunger by Roxane Gay. It is a memoir of her body, as she calls it. This is a 300-page book, and it actually reads very quickly. I could probably get through this in a day, but I have chosen to read it very slowly in very small chunks because it is something that I can relate to, and it's rather emotional for me, and I want to get as much out of it as I can. I tend to sometimes rush through non-fiction or books that I feel like I can really relate to, and I wanted to take my time with this one. And I have been talking to my therapist about it and about some of the things that it has brought up for me. And this is a great book to pair with the next book that I'm going to talk about, which I'll get to in a second. But I just want to say, if you're not familiar at all with Roxane Gay or this book, this is the first Roxane Gay book that I've actually read. I do own Difficult Women, but I have not read it yet. This is her experiences as a morbidly obese woman in America, how she came to be the size that she is, her experiences living life at this size, what it's like, what the society is like for fat women in particular. Yeah, it's just really powerful and important in my opinion. And the next book that I just finished this morning is Dietland by Sarai Walker. This is fiction. This is satire done really well. It is spot on, again, about the treatment of women in our society, how we are expected to behave and present ourselves, and how we are expected to look, and how we are expected to respond to the way we are treated. And yeah, just, I think any woman in Western society should check out these two books, but especially if you have any sort of body image issues, eating disorder issues, weight struggles. Yeah, these two books are just amazing and powerful and important. And I highly suggest you check them out. And the last book that I'm going to talk about today is a book that I have just started recently. This is The Arc of Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker. It is a thriller. I don't know much about it because I'm not very far into it, and I don't like to say a whole lot about thrillers anyway, unless I like absolutely hate them and I just want to trash them. But so far all I know about this is we have two sisters, Cass and Emma, and they both disappeared on the same night at, I believe, 15 and 17 years old. And Cass has returned several years later, and Emma is still missing. And we're finding out what happened to Emma, and where she is, and where they were, and were they together, and what happened. And that's all I know right now. So if you have read this, let me know if you enjoyed it. And that's about all I want to know. This did come out August 8th. I am a little behind on my arcs. Just a little. So that is it. Thanks for watching. Comment below. Let me know if this does not have volume. I'm going to check it ahead of time. But if for some reason you're not hearing volume, well, if you're not hearing volume, you have probably already X'd out of this. Sorry, excuse me. So just ignore that because, yeah, that was dumb thing to say. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram and, yeah, all the things that I link below. So I will see you next time.